Oil is not gold. If it goes too far beyond as a consumable without substitutes, you lose economic activity, a massive amount of it, and you get a massive deflationary force that quickly rectifies it.
I'm just going to answer Francis' question to me. I think, Francis said oil is not the new gold. Gold is the new gold. That's a very good statement. I'm going to add to that. I'm going to say that, and I've been saying it for a while now, since I started doing YouTube interview. Silver is the new oil. We might see a dip for sure because of the deleveraging and the liquidity squeeze, but it might disappoint the people who are looking at silver prices imploding back down to $35.
You have sold off. But I want to just say our position technically is that there's a range definition by the blow-off high into there. That's 5,600. And then there's the overreaction to the downside, which is 4,400. So we're now in this range. We were grinding higher. It was all quite a grind. You weren't ever running a risk of breaking out and running from any of this.
Oil cannot replace gold as the ultimate safe haven asset because extreme energy prices destroy economic activity and trigger massive deflationary forces. Instead, physical silver is rapidly emerging as the new oil due to relentless industrial demand, making a severe price collapse back to $35 highly unlikely. Francishunt, a seasoned market technician, and Eric Yeung, a macroeconomic analyst, emphasize that while gold remains the undisputed monetary baseline, silver's unique utility prevents prolonged market implosions. From a technical perspective, the asset is currently consolidating within a strictly defined trading range, bounded by a blow-off high of $5,600 and a downside overreaction floor of $4,400. The market has been steadily grinding higher within this structural channel without signaling an immediate downside breakdown or upside breakout. Because of this solid technical foundation and unprecedented physical demand, any short-term deleveraging dips or liquidity squeezes will ultimately disappoint those betting on a severe market crash. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
No one's saying rate cuts anymore. The short is debt because it is the primary bubble, and the beneficiary as a reserve asset dying, long run, is gold. I do point out that in a deflationary flash of credit collapse and a liquidity surge, gold can be sold off and silver even more so. But the net effect later, it's the typical look one way, end up running the other way. So for me, both gold and silver will outperform oil as an asset category if you're looking anything medium and long term. So everyone getting super excited about oil. With the amount of debt we have, some saying $300 and all of that. The point of the matter is, the key point I made is that we're far more indebted. We won't run Volcker rates because we'll collapse well before. The system is 5 times more sensitive, 10 times, 100 times, because the degree of debt is far more. Derivatives will collapse, everything, if we start going meaningfully much higher. We can't do deep in the teens like Volcker. And at the same logic applies if oil is driving the inflation. It can't really go 300 and 400. It might spike there, but long before it gets there, the contagion will commence, and it will very quickly be forced to correct because you'll just go into a complete deflationary environment. So oil is not gold. If it goes too far beyond as a consumable without substitutes, you lose economic activity, a massive amount of it, and you get a massive deflationary force that quickly rectifies. Whilst gold, it's got the sky's the limit because how much debt have they created that is unbacked, that is going to collapse in? Well, that's all that money's got to move into gold because there is no other reserve asset. Property's going to go down. It's too financially engineered. Stock market's going to go down. It's too excessively bubbled up on that same debt. In fact, every asset class is a failure based on excessive access to debt, fiat, and financing. Only gold is unlevered and doesn't have that. So in the end, gold wins, and the silver and platinum, but gold is the king and it'll move first next. Don't be shaken out. Try buy in major volume now. Silver. I would like, if Eric's still around, I'd love to hear his opinion. I don't want to keep him up too late. I know it's late there, but try buy $10 million of silver right now, even at these low prices. See what they tell you in terms of delivery, how you'll have to send the money, how they'll have to wait for a while, how they'll say, listen, we reserve the right to re-quote you if there's any major moves. They will have to search and squander. The supply is thinner than ever. The crisis, the Iran and Hormuz crisis, took the pressure off, a real squeeze on silver. That was happening. They cheated outright on the final day of the options with their fake stories. And it won't be long before we'll be returning to these narratives. That supply behind it is still very, very low. If you can get it, secure it, regardless of what cash price does short term. Good luck trying to get it for that price. You'll have to send all the money in advance, and they'll say, we'll only give you a fixed strike once we've accumulated the bulk of it and we've got locks on all the supplies. So that's my take. Oil isn't the new gold. Gold is the new gold. It's the old gold, and it's the always gold. And that's where you should be focusing. And it's the monetary metal in a monetary-based crisis, which is the fiat and debt debate. So I just want to reduce it simply. You're going to win, but you could have a little bit of volatility and chop in the process if we go deflationary for a spell. But longer term, the further that happens, the harder you'll pump in the opposite direct. So if you're an investor and you're on the long term, you're in the right seat. Stay strapped in.
I think Francis said oil is not the new gold. Gold is the new gold. That's a very good statement. I'm going to add to that. I'm going to say that, and I've been saying it for a while, since I started doing YouTube interviews, right? Silver is the new oil. I mean, we're seeing that in real time right now. If China didn't, electrify its automotive industry, it would be in big trouble, right? I mean, like China right now, approximately 34 motor vehicles on the road are EVs. Think about it, okay? In the last couple of years, year to year, back to back, EVs have been selling 50% basically of all the vehicles being sold. Think about that again. That means that China can really lean on its domestic coal electric plants and nuclear electric plants, okay, for energy. Because the whole grand Chinese game plan is to be energy independent.
You still there,
And the
Eric?
EVs draw on silver more than petrol. Is Eric's key point. Yeah. So I think he's made a very good point there. And China sees independence via the silver, not via the oil.
So basically, silver is helping China to be somewhat more energy independent. I wouldn't say totally, because you still got to import oil from Russia, from the Middle East, from wherever, right? But somewhat less pressure than other countries that are heavily still in ICE vehicle. Okay, I mean, like myself, I bought. Everybody knows I bought. I used to have one EV. I have a BMW EV, and now I have two EV. I bought two Porsches. Just, I guess, a month ago. And good timing, because right after this thing happened. So everybody in town in Hong Kong is complaining about high gas prices, because the first thing that happens is they jack up the price of petroleum, right? But I'm sitting there, plugging in, and my fuel cost is maybe 10% or less than gas. Think about it. It's a no-brainer. So I think, a lot of people make fun of China, and they say China is overcapacity in terms of EV production. Well, guess what? All that EV, all the inventory is going to get sold. And Donald Trump is helping China to sell all that. Because now everybody wants an EV, right? It's already happening. Since this situation started in the Middle East and escalate, I tell you, Danny, there are lineups of people buying EV in town, because everybody's thinking of the same thing. Nobody knows how long this is going to last, and nobody wants to line up at a gas station. They want an EV they can just plug in at home, and it costs them a fraction of whatever it's going to cost to fill up their vehicle with gas. So I think, back to my main point, silver is the new, and also uranium. Because uranium is for nuclear energy production, right? But silver and uranium are the new oil. And because of that, and you see, if you look at the Shanghai Gold Exchange, silver vault is still at historical lows. The last time I checked is around 650 metric tons. I mean, that's super low, because normally in the past, they have around 2,000-3,000 metric in the vault. So 600, I mean, if they don't get any replenishment from outside of China, that would run out within 3 months, 3 to 4 months, based on my calculations, right? So I think, because of the dislocation, physical silver dislocation that is happening globally. And I explained to the audience in the past, right, how the US can get access to the raw silver, but they don't have the refining capacity like China has. China has the refining capacity, but they need to import. So we got the dislocations. Because of that physical dislocation, I just don't see how silver can fall back to $30, like a lot of people, no matter what you do to the paper markets, right? So I think, we might see a dip for sure because of the deleveraging and the liquidity squeeze, but, it might disappoint the people who are looking at, silver prices imploding back down to $35.
The financial system is resting on an unsustainable debt bubble that guarantees a severe credit collapse. While leveraged equities plummet, unlevered tangible assets like gold remain the ultimate haven. Simultaneously, the macroeconomic narrative is aggressively shifting as silver firmly establishes itself as the new oil. This transition is demonstrated by explosive electric vehicle adoption and the strategic push for energy independence, heavily reliant on physical silver and uranium. The global market is currently suffering from an unprecedented physical supply dislocation. Inventories at the Shanghai Gold Exchange have crashed to historically low levels of just 650 metric tons, severely threatening industrial production. A massive infrastructure bottleneck also exists because Western nations possess raw materials but completely lack the critical refining capacity currently dominated by Eastern markets. Due to these undeniable physical shortages, temporary liquidity squeezes will fundamentally fail to force prices back down. Let's get back to the interview.
You have sold off, but I want to just say our position technically is that there's a range definition by the blow-off high into there. That's 5,600. And then there's the overreaction to the downside, which is 4,400. So we're now in this range. We were grinding higher. It was all quite a grind. You weren't ever running a risk of breaking out and running from any of this. And then you had this little rising wedge here, over there. It was always looking like you would have a sell-off. And then you hung 5 for a couple of days, very low vol on the 5K, which is the 50% of the high here. So there's a beautiful symmetry to this. 5,600, 4,400, and 5,000. So you've just fallen below the 5,000 level, which is the 50% fib. I can throw that up and you can see it, but you can take it also from me that that's measured perfectly to the 2. There you go. You can see the black line is the 50%. So we've just surrendered that. So as long as we are in this range as defined by this, we are shaking out the volatility of what was quite a volatile event. Don't forget, you came in, you're about 4,270 after the last, and you just ran straight up to 5,600, quite, near straight line. That's a lot, 4,270 to 5,600, even at 4,300, if we call it, to 5,600. That's $1,300 on gold you made in the space of, before the beginning of the year to before we'd even finished February. It was just January and just January really, because it was at the end of January that this correction occurred. So that was quite violent. This was a high volatility period. You don't need me to tell you, but I'll say it anyway. So I think you need a down leg. And I'm quite comfortable with it coming all the way back down here. I start to get worried. It's no longer in the range, obviously, if it trades through the 4,400. So that would be an alert place for me. Okay, we're not setting up a continuation pattern in range as per the definition of the blow-off high and the subsequent low. I don't think we're going to trade through the 4,400. So my base case is you're going down now, but you're going to stay within this range. However, I'll let the market tell me. Why don't I think that? Because the rally on gold, not on silver, but gold is the king, and this is the one we should be watching, the king anti-fiat. This took you through the 78.6 fib of this range. So again, if I put that fib back on, you will see that the rally bounce took you through the 78.6 to a high. You're probably at about 80%. That's not typical of downside continuation, that you sell off and you retrace 80% of the move. Not typical. So it tells me that we're winding up inside the range of the 4,400 and the 5,600. That means it's going to be a boring, dull market for a bit, little bit down, little bit up. We manufactured a trade on the gold Aussie over here. This is the gold dollar, but we manufactured a trade there that got us out on the gap, and then it was the war. So we caught the war, and straight after that, you sold on target and it came straight down. So it was very much a buy on the rumor, sell on the fact. So again, insiders everywhere on this. And now you're correcting downside. So it's down, 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 down. The only thing that would be a major escalation and see the 4-4 relent for me on gold would it be if this we have in short form this credit, this bottom end of the credit pile, private credit, get disorderly and lead into other credit markets. I can see that happening, but I can see that happening medium long term. If that accelerates now in terms of where we are, you get a bit of deflation, and you get the people that own private credit that also own other good assets becoming forced sellers of those good assets because they don't want to mark to market the losses on the bad assets, and you can then get a little bit of a deflationary liquidation. Right now, these are not fat candles, Danny. These were fat candles. They were showing you the volatility. That shows you a bit. These are thinning out. So the whole energy is dissipating, and going to sleep and calming down is actually what you want inside the range. That'll set up continuation in the end. So my bias is we remain in the range, and we're likely going to set up a continuation pattern.
The gold market is currently navigating a healthy and necessary consolidation phase, following a period of extreme volatility. After rocketing from roughly $4,270 to a blow-off peak of $5,600, a staggering $1,300 gain in essentially a single month, the market naturally required a reset. From a technical standpoint, price action is now cleanly defined within a symmetrical trading range bounded by the $5,600 high and the $4,400 low, perfectly pivoting around the $5,000 midpoint, the exact 50% Fibonacci retracement level. While gold has recently surrendered this $5,000 support level, this downside movement is not an immediate cause for panic. Crucially, the initial relief rally following the drop retraced roughly 80% of the downward move, punching through the critical 78.6% Fibonacci level. This specific price behavior is highly atypical of a severe bearish continuation. Instead, it strongly suggests that the market is simply winding down, bleeding off excess volatility, and establishing a stable base within this $4,400 to $5,600 channel. As the daily candles visibly thin out and trading volume dissipates, this boring sideways action is exactly what technical analysts want to see to set up the next major explosive move higher. Unless a severe systemic credit collapse triggers forced liquidations across all asset classes and breaks the $4,400 floor, the macroeconomic bias remains aggressively bullish for a massive upside continuation. Share your thoughts on their analysis in the comments section below. If you find this video informative, please support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more financial insights. Thanks for watching.